Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Aussie Starcraft, where we have some sweet Starcraft 2 action for you. Now, for those of you who don't know, we just got our hot little hands on the IEM Shenzhen replay pack, so I have some amazing Starcraft 2 action here for you on the channel all weekend. And we are going to cast a stack of games from this tournament. I absolutely love the players in it. I haven't seen the tournament live, so I'm watching it for the first time here with you today. So, really excited to see what these players have for us, and we're going to kick things off in the group stages because, well, when I saw this matchup I just couldn't help myself. In the top right hand corner is our blue Protoss player. It's going to be Zest. In the bottom left hand corner, as our red Terran player playing for Team My Insanity, it's going to be Jjakji. Now, for those of you who don't know Jjakji, he's been playing very well thus far in 2014 with a number of top 4 finishes in tournaments like, I believe it was IEM Sao Paulo, and also did very well in the Home Story Cup and in WCS Europe. So Jjakji showing us some fantastic games thus far this year. For those of you who don't know Zest, well, you've got to have been living under a rock. Zest obviously doing fantastically in 2014. Kicked things off by winning the GSL in Season 1 and went on to win the Global Finals of Season 1. So had an excellent April and just showing that he is absolutely one of the best Protoss players in the world right now. So Zest absolutely on fire, going up against Jjakji, who showed us he has some great Terran vs Protoss mechanics. So we'll see what each of them has in store for us today. Looks like Zest is going for a rather standard gateway expand here. Already throwing down his first gas, pretty regular for Protoss. Toss that down once you've got your gateway. On the other side of the field we can see Jjakji start this wall off, doesn't want his opponent to be able to see what he is doing at all, so always a good idea to deny that intel. His opponent doesn't know whether he has in fact got gas or not. That's important because it means that Jjakji will be starting with Marines rather than Reapers. As you can see, Zest trying to position his buildings in such a way to create a nice wall off so he can hide tech in here behind the mineral lines and force Jjakji to throw down a scan later on in the game. So these players already playing some mind games with each other. Zest trying to get in here and spot what's going on. Sees the first Marine. Still can't guarantee that there's no Reapers to follow up behind this, but that probe will be forced away and allow Jjakji to throw down his expansion here on the low ground. We do have an SCV for Jjakji scouting out. This is about the time most Protoss players doing the gateway expand would like to throw down their Nexus. Unfortunately for Zest, that Nexus will be slightly delayed. This SCV going to buy as much time as possible, but he needs to get right out of there. Zealot going to be chasing him down. SCV is going to nick up into the main base for a scout. Meanwhile, on Jjakji's side of the field, Command Center continuing to plow along. We actually have a second barracks coming up now, and this is quite rare. Jjakji's actually gone without gas for quite some time, so things like his factory and starport going to be much delayed. Instead, going for quite a heavy offensive presence early on. Going to have plenty of Marines and the capacity to grab either some Marauders, which it may well be if we see a tech lab thrown down here. Could be a tech lab or a reactor at this point. Waiting on the gas, definitely going to be a reactor. So Jjakji's going to throw that down, allow him to produce a few more Marines. We can see these Marines spreading out across the map, giving Jjakji a lot of vision here. Going to take that watchtower with the SCV, so he has quite an idea of what's going on at this point. He's scouted his opponent, knows that there's some gateways down, hasn't seen the tech. Zest unit of, a tech of choice is going to be the robo facility. Things like the observers and those colossus, very useful. Want to know when Terran are trying to drop you. Zest continuing to scout out. Both players doing a great job of trying to read what their opponent's doing, in spite of rather consistent blocking of the scouting. So both these players playing fairly aggressive here. Jjakji already going for some Marauders and concussive shells, so not Stimpack. This is going to be a very early Terran push. When you see a Terran player go for concussive shells first, you know he's going to pop out a couple of Marauders, use those concussive shells to really push in and make the Protoss life uncomfortable before they have things like charge and blink. So certainly make for very cost efficient engagements with or without those medevacs. Medevacs obviously very important once Stimpack comes up, but as we can see from Jjakji, is really intending to get aggressive early on in this game, not wait for that 9 or 10 minute mark when those medevacs generally make their way onto the field. Zest going to try and prevent this SCV getting much of a read against C2 gas going down the expansion. That's generally very indicative of the fact that you're not going to see gateway pressure just yet. You're going to see a bit more tech, either Colossus or Templar, and generally the Protoss player will drop a number of gateways in a couple of minutes and then try and put on the pressure. Of course, there's not quite enough economy yet for the Protoss player to drop those gateways and fuel those as well as the robo, so instead we see that Zest going to opt for the line of sight, putting out quite a few observers here while he waits for the robotics bay to finish up. Not a bad choice, particularly against Terran. Immortals are decent, but Bioforces really do chew through them, so often a good idea to get these observers out. Make sure you can counter and see those drops coming a long way off. And as we can see, Jjakji going to walk straight into this expansion here. Pick off, oh no, probes actually all getting lucky there. Poor Marine getting taken out by that Nexus. But Photon Overcharge, they're going to buy Zest a lot of time here, as these Marines just continue to take up a bit of a soft contain outside of Zest space. We do have another observer heading out to see what's going on, but in the scheme of things, Jjakji just continuing to tech up here, dropping his starport now that his factory has been completed. Reactor on that factory, bit of an interesting choice, likely to be a swap out for the starport, allow those medevacs to be produced quite quickly. As we can see from Zest, he loves his Colossus play. First Colossus just coming out now. I imagine Thermal Lance will be on its way momentarily. These Marines and Marauders continuing to be a bit of a pest. I think they picked off an observer as well. There was an observer there, and also picking off that pile on the home high ground. Second Photon Overcharge going to force them away yet again. The Mothership Core having bought enough time for this Colossus to get out, and that is all important. Those early pushes, particularly things like concussive shells, can make life very difficult for the Protoss player. So the Mothership Core all important. The Photon Overcharge really preventing the Protoss player from taking too much damage. Love the 1-1 upgrades from Zest on their way now. I don't believe we have a Twilight. Oh no, Twilight has finished up behind the mineral line, so Blink and potential for 2-2 upgrades in just a moment. Terran player has his +1 armor coming along now. Stimpack just finishing up. Combat shields has begun. So our Terran player going to be grabbing all those essential upgrades. Kiting back out of the way of those forces. This Colossus got to be careful. It's going to allow itself to get sandwiched between these two forces. Jjakji swoops in, the Colossus will drop down. Even the Mothership Core could potentially go down. There's only a few more Marines here. These poor Stalkers trying to run away from the Marauders, but the concussive shells just doing so much damage. Luckily a second Colossus coming down from the high ground, and we had to burn up those Marauders. One Marauder makes it out with 3 health. He has seen things as he hut runs back across the field. A few more reinforcements trickling their way across the field, but not enough here to really put on significant pressure. Potential to drop into the main base. There are some pylons to spot those, but not a lot in the way of units. We have a single Colossus, a Stalker, and a few Zealots. Not a whole lot. Oh, and here comes the drop in on the right hand side. A sweep into the main base. There's a pylon here to spot this. Pylon will go down, but will buy enough time for the Protoss force to fall back. Zealots here going to take a few slices at these medevacs. The medevac's going to re-drop and kill that pylon before safely evacuating, I believe. Second Colossus now out, so there's not enough units to really do too much damage in the main. This cheeky observer's seeing everything that's going on. A few Marauders stimming their way towards the expansion. Another drop behind the mineral line, but all these medevacs have to be so careful, and the Stalkers will pick that off. Medevac full of units. That is a very expensive loss. This other second medevac caught in the corner, it will also go down, so that's really going to even up the units loss tab here. Things have been going pretty well for Jjakji. Unfortunately, those losses in the medevac certainly going to even things up. About 2,800 minerals each. I have 2-2 upgrades just starting out for our Protoss player. Those actually getting Chrono Boost out, so Zest very keen to get that upgrade edge. We know our Terran opponent well and truly behind there. 1-1 finish, 2-2 nowhere in sight. There were a lot of barracks and a second starport coming down for Jjakji, so Jjakji very serious about trying to deal with these Colossi. I imagine we'll be seeing Vikings 4 at a time as he endeavours to try and take these down. Zealot going to clean that up and allow for a third base to come down for our Protoss player. And Jjakji's had his third base for some time. Jjakji would really love to try and threaten this third base of Zest. A 3-base Protoss is certainly terrifying, particularly when you're only on 3 bases yourself. We have a scan going down to try and catch this observer. A nice pickup from Jjakji will send that down in flames. The Colossus count starting to get just a little bit terrifying. Already 2 on the field, third one on the way. And this is going to make it very difficult for Jjakji to engage. Having spotted that third, he's going to move out and take a shot, but we have a probe moving down to establish some proxy pylons along the fringe of this map. Going to give him a lot of avenues for some zealot counterattacks later on. This poor SCV is going to get obliterated by those Colossus. Colossus here starting to do just a little bit of work. As Zest 2-2 upgrades almost finished. There's a massive upgrade edge. His 2-2 is going to be finished almost a minute and a half ahead of the Terran 2-2 upgrade. So this Terran force moving out to try and put some pressure on this third, but I don't know that he can afford to engage with 3 Colossus here from Zest. I think he is going to have to fall back. Indeed, we have that army falling back. We have Vikings on the field, already 6, but you'll need a few more than 6 to deal with that volume of Colossus. We are already at 3. We have a 4th one almost finished now, but the Vikings are being produced 4 at a time, so that Viking cloud is quickly going to get quite terrifying. 10 Vikings will certainly be able to drop those Colossus as a matter of course. These pylons continuing to be established. We have a few zealots making their way down into the third base of Jjakji. Going to try and get some damage done, but the bunker here with the Marauder and the Marine going to make life a bit difficult. Force those units out of the bunkers. They start to slice and dice their way through these SCVs. Actually have quite a lot of SCVs dying here at this third base. We have 15 workers killed by our Terran player, 8 workers killed by Zest, as the Terran army comes down to clean up these pylons. If you're wondering why the whole Terran army is falling back for these pylons, what Jjakji would dearly love to do is he wants to get in a very aggressive position from this left-hand side to threaten this base. He can't afford to get pincered but on 2 sides by advancing through these choke points. Really wants to attack the third from this location, but in order to get his army up into this position, needs to clean out the proxy pylons. Even this proxy pylon here poses a bit of a threat for Jjakji here. Zealot's going to continue to try and harass here, but a full bunker should make life a little bit difficult. We have Jjakji facing off for what looks like a massive engagement here. Both our players nearing maxed out. Jjakji absolutely maxed out at 199 supply. We actually have some ghosts here as well, potential for EMPs, and wow, we have the mothership core going down, manages to get the photon overcharge, but this is a great engagement for Jjakji. These Vikings doing so much damage. The Colossus stuck at the back. We have EMPs going down on these Stalkers. Stalkers getting blasted by these Marines and Marauders. The Colossus being one shot here by the Viking cloud. Lots of damage getting done, but there is just too many Vikings on the field as Jjakji lands on top of Zest and takes this game. And what an engagement there for Jjakji, picking the perfect angle. This third base is certainly the pressure point for a Protoss player, and engaging from that angle, always a great choice. Gives the Protoss player one of 2 very difficult decisions. Do you drop your Colossus right back here as Zest did, and limit the amount of damage they can do, or do you try and engage from this awkward angle and allow the Vikings to sit over this dead zone and just pummel them to death? It's a very tough position for Zest to be in, and Jjakji just doing a great job of it there. Zest, well known for his love of Colossus, unfortunately not switching to High Templar quick enough, meaning that Jjakji could just go crazy with the Vikings and get the upper edge. So great game from Jjakji in game number 1. We may very well cast the rest of this series. I do love watching Jjakji and Zest play. They are fantastic players. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you're enjoying the time on the channel. We've got plenty more StarCraft coming up after this, guys, so don't go anywhere. We'll catch you in the next cast.